everybody to the 55th annual dinner of Lido Beach Synagogue. We've got a very tight, regimented program this evening, and I'm told that I cannot deviate whatsoever. This entire program has been going on for the last 55 years, and if I do anything different, I won't have a job next year. So we start off with the Star Spangled Banner and Hatikva.
We have guest of honor. Birthday birthday.
What's so proud we and the time get older, never lose runs and runs through the land or the ramparts we walk were so gallantly streamed. That our flag was still there. Oh, who saved us that Star Spangled Banner again? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Both on that song. Both. F and F.
On the second till 12.
You shall
Gary Waller, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you everyone for coming from near and some from far. This is my first time emceeing, so I hope that I do a good job. But hold your applause to the end, please. Our first speaker is going to be Rabbi Melman. Now that's not quite the intro. I'm told I really have to do a better job of introducing the rabbi. And I'm not sure that I have, so much experience, and I really don't have a long relationship with Rabbi Melman at all. But I do have a little bit of a year's worth of experience here in the community. And it occurred to me what must have happened a few years ago when Rabbi Melman said that he was retiring. And all I could picture was Mr. Fried in a really nice sports coat, sitting next to Alex Berkovich in a leather jacket. Mr. Younger was probably there in shorts and sneakers. And I just imagine him telling them that, he's going to retire And Mr. Younger goes and pulls out a gun. And Alex goes, no, not that kind of retire, just regular retire. Oh, okay, I thought, that's just, in my experience with these men, this is just how things go around here. I will say, though, that on a serious note, my wife and I have been here for less than a year, and I can tell you, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Melman, you've done a tremendous job. The synagogue, the shul that is Lido Beach, the community that is Lido Beach, it's truly a wonderful place to be. It's not just aesthetic, but its soul is beautiful, and this is the soul right here. So not only do I need to thank you, but I think that everybody needs to thank you. And really, I think that we're all lucky that you're able to be here, but I also think that it's fortunate for you to be able to come back to this place and see the fruits of your labor. Thank you very much. Without further ado, Rabbi Helmut.
Daughter has a ballet recital.
That's a chastity, it's beautiful.
Ariel Sutain is the president. Where did I go wrong? First of all, let me just share with you something.
Close the door to the kitchen. Close the door.
But if I owe you money, yeah. But you do owe me money. Let me just tell you what happened. There was a rabbi, wonderful guy. But this particular rabbi was so particular, was so magnificent. He spoke for exactly 12 minutes every Shabbos, 12 minutes. No, 12 minutes. It was going on for years. Finally, one of his congregants walked over to him and said, Rabbi, how do you do it for 12 minutes every week? He said, simple. I live 12 minutes from the shul. So when I go on Shabbos morning to the shul, I walk and I rehearse the sermon, and it takes me exactly 12 minutes, so I know exactly when to start and when to stop. So I just want to let everyone know, it took me almost 47 minutes to get here. But it's really a pleasure to be here. Truly. It looks like they did a nice paint job. Looks fine. Everything looks fine. Looks well. You have to remember that basically it's about 7 or 8 years that I'm from the synagogue. I was a Rav here for nigh over 38 years. My problem is I didn't know how I was able to do it, but more concerned is I don't know how the shul was able to contend with me for 38 years. But it's been a pleasure. And it's a pleasure to see Rabbi Krinsky doing so well after a few blunders. I remember the famous jurist Oliver Holmes once couldn't find his ticket as he was traveling on the train. And the conductor walked over to him and said, don't worry. When you get home and you find the ticket, you'll send it to me. We know who you are. We have no problem. But he was quite irritated. And the justice replied, you need to understand, my good friend, the problem is not where is my ticket. The problem is I don't know where I'm going. And so I have to find out where I'm traveling. The point of the matter is I don't know where Judaism is traveling today. I don't know what direction we have to take. I'm not sure of our location presently and our destination. This past week I give a shiur. I give a shiur on Thursdays. And my shiur was asked to render an analysis of the status of our modern day society. I assured those in attendance that it was truly an insightful question and a very difficult one. Just think about where we're going and what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. The basic point that I tried to convey is what are our priorities in life? That's the eager part. If we understand what our priorities are, then we know where we're going. Then we can understand the direction. And I began to realize that most of our problems stem from the fact that we live in a society that can be described in one word: disposable. Disposable. Simple word. For indeed, we live within disposable society, which is a throwaway society. And it's not only disposable about the dishes, all the silverware, all the cans. What I'm afraid about is we are living in a disposable society in which we're throwing away human beings. We don't care about someone else. We've lost the worthiness of man. Chazal say, Mo Enosh. Who are we? What are we trying to achieve? And too often, we feel we're in a disposable society. You look around you. The worthiness of man is not there. Killing, rape, and travel in subways at times. A country overpowers another country with murder. Or just think about why it is. You see, the worthiness of a person is insignificant. And we have to reaffirm our belief in the worthiness of man. When God said to man, He wanted to make it sure that we live in the image of God. That we live within godliness, not manliness only. And I think that's quite important in reference to a shul, in reference to society today. Winston Churchill said it well. It's not enough to float, he said. We must swim against the stream. And we need to. The stream is heavy. It's dynamic. It's dramatic. It's powerful. But we must swim against that stream. We must not permit it to overtake us and become such an integral part of our lives, and where our lives are so detrimental. I'm not here to give you wisdom. The truth is, we do need to reevaluate who we are. The other place I know where thoughts in issue. I know an issue also. As a psychologist, I am understanding what we really need to achieve in life. And the rabbis need to use that pulpit to change the venue. This past week, you were in shul, I'm sure, and you heard sermons, I'm sure. The Parsha is an interesting Parsha. Begins Balos Vasaneros. When you light the menorah, the Kohen had a tremendous responsibility. What was his responsibility? Light the menorah, big deal. What's so difficult it was? As I'll say, you have to light the menorah in such a way shetzorech lahadlik ad shetehei shal ebes ola meyalehu. That's the Chazal. Chazal said, when the Kohen lights that menorah, he's illuminating the world, illuminating society, changing what we are in the darkness and the abyss of the quagmire of humanity. He is trying to bring light, but it has to be a light in which he ignites it and it keeps moving. Just to ignite the candle and leave it burn? So what? What's going to happen? It's going to go out. No, he says, Chazal, Shetehei Yadahadlik Ad Shetehei Shaleves, where that fire continues to burn, that inspirational force continues to engender greater accomplishments in life. That's what the show is all about. That's what Chazal is all about. The greatness of Moshe was able to do that. He really was. Put him on a derech which the Ashar, you keep moving, illuminating the world around us. It's magnificent. We read about Pesach Sheni. I don't want to go into the halacha Pesach Sheni. He had this because of the fact that they were atoning and they couldn't bring the first Pesach. So they requested from God, basically from Moshe, we want an opportunity. So Moshe was saying to him, what are you talking about? You're exempt. Take the exemption. I taught for years at Torah College. If I exempted somebody from my final, do you think they would come over to me and say, Professor Melvin, we want to take the final? Ridiculous. I'm exempt. What do I want to do it for? That's the warmth. That's enthusiasm. They felt they wanted to do it. They don't want to take an exemption. We don't want to be excused from our responsibilities. That's the beauty. That's our mission in life, my friends. For all to realize, irrespective of who we are or what we are feeling at this particular moment, we can and we will and we must be endowed with the divine spirit to keep the glowing light of Yiddishkeit alive. We can't fall into the abyss of the world. It's not good. Oh, there's beauty in the world. I don't deny that. But we have the possibility of making a great kodesh among others. We have the ability to change the world. And I know, I once said this to someone. I give a class on Friday night. I said it to someone, I said, where do we start, Rabbi? And now my answer, we start with myself. Myself. Sure, I'll get to someone else, maybe. Maybe they're contagious. Maybe they'll move in the same direction. But we need to start with ourselves. The mirror that we look into is the mirror of who we are and who we could become. The question I ask him, no, I refuse. The question I ask myself is, are we up to the task? That's the question. Okay, I asked my good friend, the youngest, how long I should speak. They don't realize that I usually put a candy in my mouth with lead. But a few hours ago, I put a button by mistake. So it doesn't melt. And anyway, I want to just conclude with a story. I'm a storyteller. Most of us know that. I enjoy telling stories because of the fact that I think more than any shamanic material, more than other drushes that one can make, one remembers the story. The story was about a great Rebbe. He had the capability of understanding people. He was insightful. And so he portrayed himself as a person who can answer any question that you pose. And so every week he would stand in front of the synagogue and people would come and ask questions publicly. And he would answer every question. There was one young man who he said, I don't believe this is possible. He can't answer every question. And he tried to catch him, if that's the way to put it. And so one day, he presented himself holding his hands in this form, cup. And he presented himself to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, what do I have in my hand? The rabbi is quite insightful, smart, as all rabbis are smart. But he saw a little fluttering of the hand. And so he assumed and he believed it was a bird. The man was astonished. How is it possible that this rabbi knew it was a bird? Okay, I'll leave it at that. I'll catch him, I will. By the way, Rabbi, answer me. Is the bird alive or is the bird dead? So it was a no-win situation. If he would have said, the bird is alive, he would have squeezed his hands. If he would have said the bird is not alive, open his hands, and the bird would fly out, he couldn't win. The rabbi could not win. The rabbi thought for a moment. Great insight, with great understanding. He says, my young man, Hakol biyadecha. Life is in your hands. That's the truth, my friends. Life is in our hands. Every one of us. We can do what we want. We have all the capabilities. God gave us the strength, the understanding, the knowledge from our Torah to really use every aspect of it to create a life that is beautiful, meaningful, kind, good. But it's in our hands. And that's the beauty of life. And so I only wish you all that you should continue to give your rabbi the best of your endeavors. He's here to make your life more meaningful. And I know personally, a rabbi's job is not an easy one, but at the same time, it's one that gives a lot of meaning. So I pray to God and Kadosh Baruch Hu should bless every one of you to build and continue to build this glorious synagogue. But more so, not only to build the synagogue, but to build yourselves. Grow within it. Move on a different level. You know that Kohen Gadol, when he did that menorah, you know what he had to do? There was a step. He had to step up. He had to step up. And that's why Ba'aloscha, Aliyah, to move a higher madrega. Not to feel that we're stationary, we can't grow. The beauty of life is that God gives us all the possibilities. And all we have to do is to take it, hold on to it. So I hope that God shall continue to be blessed by Kadosh Baruch Hu, every one of you, your families, your children, grandchildren, parents, in-laws, grandparents. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give you whatever you wish and what you desire. Hashem berach etchem. Every aspect of life should be one in which you feel the bracha of Kadosh Baruch Hu. The shefa of Kadosh Baruch Hu pours down upon us. All we have to do is be a base keeper. Open our hands, open our minds, and bring that shefa, that bracha into our lives. If we don't do so, we'll be able to see in our day and age.
It is all of it.